Welcome to Emtron Training Part 28. In this training tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at working with our fuel injection timing programming in our Emtron ECU. Our fuel injection timing is when we want to spray the fuel within the AutoCycle, and we want to be very specific with this so that we have the fuel meeting the back of a closed intake valve right to the point where it's about to open. And this relies on knowing things like our cam information, so the opening and closing specs on the camshaft profiles that we're dealing with. I'm going to go and show you how to use an Excel-based calculator I'm providing in the training course to be able to figure out a good starting point for your injection timing, and then we can learn how to calibrate and tune it from that point. Without further wait, let's jump in so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working with our fuel injection timing programming within our Emtron software. Our fuel injection timing allows us to be specific of timing our injection event around our intake and exhaust valve opening and closing based on the camshaft profile that we're dealing with. If we get our injection point timed correctly, we'll have a benefit of increased economy, better throttle response, and the potential for increased power. If we get our injection point timed wrong, it'll cause us to have potential misfiring or stumbling of running our engine and having an increase in fuel consumption. That's definitely something we want to avoid. So we want to make sure our injection timing is correct, and we want to base it around the camshaft profile that we're dealing with as a starting point when we're going in and starting to calibrate and tune our injection timing. There's a specific way that we can actually calibrate and tune the injection timing table that even if we don't know the camshaft profile that we're dealing with, we can make sure it's calibrated and dialed in specific to the engine that we are working with. I'm going to share some tips and tricks a little bit later in the video of how to go about making sure your table has been optimized. We're also going to be taking a look at using an Excel spreadsheet calculator based on the camshaft profile cam card that you're going to be working with, the camshafts you have installed in your engine. We can determine a good starting point for the injection timing values. If you don't have a cam card, you don't have that data for the cams you're using, don't worry, there's still a way to figure out and work with this. So the first thing I want to talk about is what the injection timing table represents. What we're working with, there's two different ways to reference it. Let's jump in here and talk about the two different various ways we can deal with injection timing. So if we go in here to configure, we move into fuel and into fuel main, we're going to find our second option here, injection timing. Right now it's set to end of injection. We have two options we can see right here, start of injection or end of injection. Start of injection will be used to reference the injection point or where we want the injector to start spraying at within the AutoCycle, specific to a direct injection engine. So this is typically not used in a port injection engine. The reason why SOI or start of injection is used in direct injection is because the window to inject the fuel is very small, and when we're referencing the AutoCycle, it's generally going to be easier to referencing the AutoCycle into traditional degrees that we would expect it to be in. So 0 degrees would be between the exhaust and intake strokes, where the piston's at TDC. As we travel, move into the compression power stroke, that would be 360 degrees. And as we move our way around the AutoCycle, we'll go from 0 to 720 degrees in that type of orientation. So when we're referencing a direct injection of where we want to spray the injector that's mounted within the combustion chamber, we utilize and select start of injection. When we're talking about a port injection engine, traditionally speaking, it's an industry standard to reference at EOI or end of injection. The end of the injection is a little bit difficult to understand because it's actually going to be where we want the injectors to start at, but it's going to be referencing the AutoCycle backwards than the way we'd expect. Let me explain this with a graphical illustration. This make a lot more sense in terms of the degrees in programming and referencing EOI or end of injection reference. So coming up on screen, we're going to find that I have this circle. This represents the AutoCycle in terms of the degrees and the different strokes. What we're going to find here is that what we would traditionally expect, 0 degrees or TDC between intake and exhaust strokes, is now going to be 360 degrees. And we're going to find if we're moving through the AutoCycle, we have 0 degrees, that's between the compression and power stroke. The way this is going to work is that we actually go and start at that 0 degree mark between compression and power, and we work our way backwards in terms of the timing reference values in our injection timing table. So traditionally, 300 to 400 degrees, maybe 450, are values that you can expect to program for fuel injection timing table reference points in the end of injection reference. So we would find if we're anywhere between 300 would be probably one of the extremes, but 300 to 450, we'll be starting to spray our injector, even though it's called end of injection reference or end of injection. That's actually where we want the injector to begin its spray at. That's going to happen.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.